Interplanetary Voyage. This game actually comes with two different game types, so it's really worth the extra cash that you spent for the overlay. The first way to play is called Interplanetary Voyage. Be a space pilot, blasting through the solar system on dangerous and exciting missions, or combine your skill and knowledge and earn a degree in cosmology at the University of the Solar System. That's right, this game and the Odyssey is recognized worldwide as a completely credible way to get a degree and start working in cosmology. Game aids include the overlay, a mission card deck with 40 cards, a knowledge card deck, the data screen or the MOAD game board, spaceship tokens, and some chips. On the game board, place the black and blue spaceships on Space Station Alpha and the yellow and green spaceships on Space Station Beta in the Delta screen portion of the game board. Shuffle the mission cards and put them down on the MOAD square. Each player will start with 8 chips that can be used to buy power for force fields or pay for penalties. On your turn, draw a mission card and read it to yourself. Take control of Controller Unit 2 and move the spaceship to the location shown by your token on the game board. You have up to 3 rocket blasts you could use per turn to complete your mission. If the target planet is in the same quadrant you start the mission in, you must pass through the other 3 quadrants before completing the mission. Uranus and Saturn are both in 2 quadrants. To fly the spaceship, this game uses a type of thrust feature by flipping the horizontal and vertical controls, which will cause the light to continue floating after the controls are stopped. How far the spaceship travels depends on how far you flip the controls. One flip of the control is considered one blast of the rockets. If you pass too close to the sun, it'll contact the light from controller 1 and disappear. You must then place a completed mission card face up on the discard pile. If you have no completed cards, you must forfeit 2 power chips, then press the reset button and return to your home base. If you're able to pay the penalty, you may restart the mission and use any remaining rocket blast you have left. If you light any stars in the uncharted space region or completely leave the overlay, you must spend 1 of your power chips for a navigation beacon before you can fire your rockets again. If you have no chips, your turn is over. The mission is complete when the target planet is completely lit. Turn your card face up to show you've completed the mission. If the top card of the discard pile is a mission on the same planet, you may claim that card also. Draw a new mission card, and if you have any rocket blasts left, start the new mission. After a player has fired their rockets twice, you may spend a power chip to put a force field around where you think the target planet is by moving the player 1 light from the sun to the planet you chose. If your force field extinguishes the player's spaceship, they must give you a completed mission card or 2 power chips if they don't have any completed cards. The pilot then ends their turn by returning to home base and must restart the mission on their next turn. A few things to note: if the spaceship is lighting the dashed orbit around a planet, a force field may not be used. The player with the next turn always has the first chance to put up a force field. Once your turn is over, you must mark your location on the data screen area of the game board, move player 1 back to the sun, and give controller 2 over to the next player. If at any time you don't have any cards or chips to give for a penalty, your turn is over as soon as the penalty occurs. You must return to home base and restart the mission on your next turn. The object of the game is to collect mission cards by completing the missions that are written on the cards. For 2 players, 15 cards are required. For 3 players, 12 cards are required. And 4 players, 8 cards are required. All players must have an equal amount of turns. Therefore, additional rounds must be played to break any ties that exist after a player reaches the goal. The second way to play is where you finally get the chance to earn your PhD, and it is called University of the Solar System. I hope you're ready for this one because the description is a mouthful. The object of University of the Solar System is to combine your skill as a space pilot and your knowledge of a solar system to earn first a Bachelor of Science degree in cosmology, then a Master's degree, and finally a PhD degree in cosmology. The first player to earn his PhD is the winner. In this game mode, first you will take the top card from the knowledge deck and read it aloud. Then place your spaceship token in the solar system that you think answers the question on the data screen. If another player thinks that you chose the wrong answer, they may place their token on the answer they believe is correct, starting with the player on your left. Once all answers have been set, another player will take controller 1 and move the player to the location you guessed on the overlay. You then get 2 rocket blasts to try and extinguish your light by striking the player 1 light. Black and blue players always start from Space Station Alpha, and yellow and green start from Space Station Beta. If you successfully extinguish the light, lay the card face up on the MOAD computer space on the game board, and the arrow on the card will point to the correct answer. Whoever answered correctly wins the card and a card from all players who answered incorrectly. If they have no cards, they lose their next turn. If no one answered correctly, there are no penalties and the card is discarded. If you won the card with your first rocket blast, draw another card and use your last blast to try and win the card. If you lost the card, your turn is over. If you still have an unanswered card when your turn ends, you will try for that card on your next turn. After a player has 6 cards, they have completed their bachelor's degree and must go for their master's degree. You may only go for your master's if you currently have 6 or more cards in your possession. When going for a master's degree, you have the option to go for 2 cards with 4 rocket blasts. At the beginning of your turn, you must announce you are going for an accelerated course, then draw 2 cards and decide which one to answer first. If you win the first card, use your remaining blast to try for the second card. If you answered incorrectly, you must give the player who answered correctly the card along with 2 of your previously won cards, and your turn is over. If no one answered the question correctly, you must place the card along with 1 of your previously won cards in the discard pile. When a player has 12 correctly answered cards in their possession, they have earned their master's degree and must try for the PhD. You may only go for your PhD if you currently have 12 or more cards in your possession. When going for your PhD, you must always go for 2 cards using the accelerated course. Once you have 18 cards in your possession, you've finally earned your PhD in cosmology. A few general rules: if the knowledge deck is used up, shuffle the discard pile and start a new deck. There's no penalty if your spaceship light leaves the screen, and any route may be taken to extinguish the spaceship light. Finally, to the gameplay. Interplanetary Voyage. This is going to be a little bit tough to do because, for one, there's only 2 speeds with the rocket blast. There's either a tap, which doesn't go very far, or you could hold it a little longer and he'll go a little bit further. But there's no type of in-between. I don't think I could adjust it on the simulator at all, so it's going to be a little bit harder. I might just have to hit the buttons a bunch of times and then try to stop when I think I'm going to get there. Another thing is I can't really get the player to reset on Space Station Beta, and it's hard to kind of get the guy exactly on there, so I'm probably just going to play as player Black and player Blue, which are both going to start on Space Station Alpha, because if I hit the reset button, it'll send me back over there. And the last thing, like I said, it's a little hard to control the speed. There's only kind of a tap or a hard hit, so I can't really nudge the player too well to try to get it to exactly highlight a planet. So I'm just going to change that rule a little bit for the simulation and say I just need to pass through the planet. And typically in the rules, if you pass through the planet, it doesn't count. You have to land on the planet and keep it highlighted, but I'm just going to change that for this gameplay. Also, I can't really mark my spot on this board when I change places, so I'm just going to have to try to remember and get back to it as best as I can, because when I try to change the token, it just locks onto the planets and I can't go anywhere in between, which is kind of the point of marking your spot, because I imagine if you land on a planet, that's probably the planet you're trying to get to, so you'd be back at the station anyway. These little circles underneath each token are the power chips, and I do have a button that I could use to remove them, but I don't believe there's any button to add them. I don't think it's possible to gain power chips in this game mode, but it is possible to gain some in the other mode, but we'll worry about that when we get there. Okay, Black token is going first. He's going to draw his card. Set up solar flare monitoring equipment on Mercury. Okay, so Mercury is going to be straight across to the left. It is in a different quadrant, so I don't have to go through any other quadrants. It's kind of close to the sun, though, so I'm going to have to be careful there, but I think if I just go straight, we should be fine. Okay, here we go. I'm doing my first rocket blast. All right, and I think that's pretty close. Now, it is definitely cheating because I could kind of see when he's slowing down and how much I need to tap it. Typically, if you're playing on the real system, you just have to give it a flick and try to guess how hard you have to do it. So I could see how it could be a little more difficult and also probably a little more fun. But I did make the first mission, so that's 1 card for me. Since I have 2 more rocket blasts left, I get to draw another card. Make a rest and recreation stop on Neptune. So that's going to be in the bottom left quadrant. So here's my second rocket blast. So that time I was going diagonal. I could have decided to change and go down, but I'm trying to stick as close to the real thrust as I possibly can. So I didn't want to change my directions, and I'm just going to stop there. I am slightly off the screen, but I'm still on the screen, so it doesn't count as leaving the screen completely, which means I get my last thrust. Now I am right next to Neptune. And I do have 1 thrust left. The blue player is going to go ahead and use a power chip to make a force field. Now I'm not exactly sure where I'm supposed to place this because I am outside of the orbit, so they are allowed to use one, but it's so close, I don't know where to put it without going directly on top of the planet. I'm not completely sure if that's allowed or not. I'm going to say I'll just end my turn there, and I'll remember that I'm directly next to Neptune when it's Black's turn again. So now we're going to go ahead and go for blue. Build a passenger shuttle space station around Mars. Since Mars is in the quadrant that I'm starting in, I'm going to have to go through 3 other quadrants to get there. So that's kind of a tough start because I'm going to have to circle around this whole entire map just to get that one. So I'm probably not going to get the card on my first turn. So here's my first thrust. I'm just going to give it 1 so I don't hit the stars. Then we'll do our second thrust here. Seems diagonal gets a lot more power than just going straight. But I'm just going to stay straight here because I don't want to hit the sun. So I'm going to go up. And I'm kind of close to Mercury, so I'll try to remember that. Going back to Black token's turn, I got to get down here by Neptune. I was something around there. That's close enough. I'm pretty sure I'll get it in 1 thrust anyway. So I'm going to take my first thrust. And there's Neptune, so that's 2 cards for Black player. Let's draw another card. Journey to Saturn to look for unusual rocks in Saturn's second ring. So Saturn is in between 2 quadrants, and one of them happens to be the one that I'm in, so I do have to go all the way around. So I have 2 thrusts left. I'm going to have to kind of go diagonal here so I don't hit the stars, and hopefully I don't hit the sun either. I was going to go the other way, but I guess I'm going up. This is kind of risky if I go diagonal. I think I'm just going to play it safe because I already have 2 cards, and I'm just going to tap it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm pretty much on Mercury. I'll try to remember that when it's his turn again. Blue's turn, which he's pretty much right here somewhere. It's going to be a little hard to stop, like I said, but we'll just say it's right there is fine. I'm going to Mars. Actually, I'm going to put it up just a little bit so that way I don't hit the sun, because he definitely was past the sun. Pretty much lined up with Mars, but that's okay. Here's the first thrust. All right, almost direct hit. Good job for Blue. That's his first card. Here's his next one. Install a new communication system in the colony on one of Saturn's moons. Okay, so this time I can go straight to Saturn since it's in a different quadrant than the one I'm in. So I have 2 thrusts left. So I'm going to go diagonal and risk it with the sun. That was a horrible hit. So I hit the sun. I'm going to have to use a power chip if I want to go again, or I could end my turn. I guess I'll go ahead and use the power chip. So I have 2 thrusts now to get to Saturn. So we're gonna smash this thing and try to line it up without going off the screen. And black is gonna go ahead and use a power chip there. And we'll say that'll end their turn, because if I put the force field there, it's pretty much gonna block the planet and he's not gonna try to go around it. Okay, now it's black's turn. So I'm gonna get back over here by Mercury. It was pretty much on top of it, so that should be fine. I'm going to Saturn. So I'm gonna do a thrust here to get past the sun. Then we're going to do one diagonal, hopefully not get into the stars. Good throw. And then I'm going to play it safe and just go straight. And I will stop right there. Okay, and then blue player will say he's going to do his thrust to Saturn. I know he was above it, but it's pretty much going to make it anyway. So now he's got 2 cards. And the game would just go on and on like that until someone gets 15 cards. Not the most exciting game, but maybe it would be more fun with 4 people and multiple people throwing up force fields and more cards going around. But that's going to do it for Interplanetary Voyage. Now on to University of the Solar System. I'm going to try to get through this as quick as possible because I know very little about cosmology, so I'm probably not going to know any of these answers. But I'll go through a few cards and see if I can get at least one correct. Also, since I'm playing by myself, I'm not going to worry about moving the tokens around on the game board or who's getting what cards or anything like that. I'm just going to draw some cards and answer them as best as I can, and then I'll move the lights around and use the rocket blast the way I'm supposed to. Here's my first knowledge card, the planet with 12 satellites. I don't know who would know this unless you're currently in school or you've been studying this your whole life, but I'm just going to go with Saturn. So I have to move this light over here to Saturn, and then I have 2 rocket blasts to try to get to Saturn. Now in the rules it says any route may be taken to extinguish the spaceship light as long as it's a legal rocket blast. I don't know if that means I can go through the sun or I still have to go around it even though the light's not there, but I'm not going to worry about it and I'm just going to go straight for the light. So here goes my first rocket blast. I'm just going to mash it because like I said in the other game, I can't really control how far it goes unless I hit it a bunch of times. And I'm going to stop right there and then I'll just go down a little bit here and hit Saturn. Oh, it was Jupiter. I'm actually kind of surprised. That was going to be my second guess. I had a feeling it was either Jupiter or Saturn. So at this point, if anyone else guessed and they put their token on Jupiter, they would get the card. And then if I had any other cards that I'd won previously, I'd have to give them one of those and my turn would be over. Now for the next card. Which planet is 887 million miles from the sun? This one I have honestly no idea, but I think I'm just going to go for Saturn again since I'm already there. Okay, so I'm going to reset the spaceship. I'm going to leave the other light on Saturn, and here we go. Boosting it as hard as I can again. I'm just going to have to do the same move and kind of stop right above Saturn, and then we're just going to go down a little bit. What a lucky guess that was. I couldn't tell you how many miles any planet is from the sun. Okay, let's do one more card here. This planet completes a rotation around its axis, a sidereal day, in 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.9 seconds. I'm guessing that means that's how long the planet's day is, and if it's that close to Earth's day, then I'm going to guess it's something close by to Earth, so I'm going to go with Mercury. Okay, so we're going to put this light up here on Mercury and then reset my rocket, and I should be able to get a straight rocket blast on this one. So we're just going to hit that a bunch of times. Direct hit. Okay, I guess the answer is Earth. I probably should have known by how close it is to 24 hours. I guess a day on Earth isn't exactly 24 hours unless a sidereal day means something that I don't know. But boy, do I feel dumb after that one. Okay, after looking it up, a sidereal day is the time between 2 consecutive transits of the first point of Aries. It represents the time taken by the Earth to rotate on its axis relative to stars and is almost 4 minutes shorter than the solar day because of the Earth's orbital motion. Well, I feel like I'm more confused than I was before I read that, but there you go, there's the answer. And that's basically it. This game's just pretty much a trivia game that I would not be very good at. And that'll do it for the Interplanetary Voyage pack. And that'll bring us to the final game that came out for the Magnavox Odyssey, basketball. Action-packed one-on-one basketball as the players dribble the ball, shoot, and score. Basketball is probably the easiest to figure out of the 4 games that came out in 1973. This game comes with a game overlay and a scoreboard. Before you play, all you have to do is move the wall to the left side of the court and you're ready to go. To start the game, you're going to do a jump ball. According to the rules, both players are supposed to get right on top of each other in the center of the jump circle, but I'm pretty sure that's not not allowed in real basketball, and if you really want to immerse yourself in the game, I would recommend starting on either side of the jump line like a regular human. This way you could also see player 1 is on top and shooting for the bottom basket, and player 2 is on bottom and shooting for the top basket. Player 2 will then press the reset button to bring the ball into play. As soon as the ball hits the wall, both players will hightail it for the ball. You can keep the ball between you and the wall to dribble the ball, while your opponent can try to steal the ball from you or hang back in an attempt to block your shot. While dribbling, you must stay on the left side of the baskets. Once you're ready to take a shot, use your English to try and get the ball in the basket. A basket is scored if any part of the red circle in the basket is lit. A basket is worth 2 points, and there are no 3-pointers in this game. When a shot is made, players may run to the right side of the basket for a tip-in or a rebound. After a basket is made, the player who scored goes to his own foul line, while the other player goes to the center jump circle for a jump ball. If at any point the ball leaves the court when a basket isn't scored, both players position themselves on top of each other at the foul line on the side of the court that the ball left and do a jump ball. If somehow you get the ball through the wall and it leaves the court on the left side, the ball is returned by doing a center jump ball. If at any time a player passes through the basket, it counts as a foul. For a foul shot, the player that committed the foul positions himself on the left side of the opponent's foul line. The player that is shooting the foul establishes one dribble anywhere on their side of the center line, then goes for the shot. If the basket is missed, the ball is returned to play as an out-of-bounds ball. The first player to score 24 points and have at least 2 more points than their opponent wins. Here we are finally at the last game before moving on to a new system. This is basketball. I think this one's going to be a little bit tough to control both of the characters, and also knowing who hit the ball last to know which English to use, and figuring out how to hit the basket and not go out of bounds. There's so many things I'm going to have to focus on at once that I don't think I'm going to play it for too long. Probably just go for like 1 or 2 baskets and then call it a day, but just so we get the general idea of how this works. I've got both my players standing here at the jump line. We got the player up on top that's going to go for the lower basket, and the player down here in the bottom that's going to go for the upper basket. And now we just wait for the ball. It's got to hit the wall first, and then we could go for it. Okay, so I brought them both down at the same time because I can't multitask, but player 1 currently has the ball, so I'm going to have to dribble it a little bit. Player 2 can try to get in there and steal it, but right now I think I'm just going to focus on player 1 being offense and player 2 being defense. So I'm going to bring him back down here, and then I could get as close to the wall as I want to make the ball move a little bit faster, or I could go out further. I just can't pass the basket, so this is about as far as I could go, which in a regular game wouldn't be smart because they'd probably be able to steal it. Okay, so I'm going to try to dribble the ball down a little bit and move with it. It didn't move for some reason. Let me try that again. There we go. I think the controls on this are a little bit not great. I have to hit it like 3 times before it does anything. So I could either try to line it up like this and then go for the shot, but most likely he'll just be able to steal that. I'm going to play this one a little bit riskier and go from up here, and that way I have to use my English to try to hook it into the basket. And the shot. It got blocked. He stole the ball. Oh, I can't. I caught it. I caught it. Don't worry about it. I'm going up. No, that's... The button didn't work. We're giving him a retry because the button didn't work, and I was trying to go for a shot from player 2. And it's going up. It's not working too well. This game seems to have some issues on the simulator here. I bet this would be a lot better if I had a real controller. Okay, let's see if I can just make a shot with no defense at all. Let's just say the whole team's fouled out. I got an open court here. He's going for 3. It's good! Even though there's no 3-pointers in this game, it's really just worth 2 points. Player 2 has the ball now. Let's see if he can answer with some points, and there is going to be some defense on the field, so let's see if he can stop the ball, if this thing will even listen to the controls I'm trying to do. I almost had it, and then for some reason I made it move down, even though the guy didn't quite block it. Last shot of the game here. The buzzer's going down. They're down by 1 point in 3, 2, 1. He took the shot, and it's good. The crowd goes wild. The team pours the Gatorade on the coach, and they bring home the trophy. Wow, what a series of games that was. I'm so glad the Odyssey decided to come out with more games to enhance the fun I've been having even more. That's going to be it for the Odyssey for now. Overall, I had a pretty good time. There was a few games in there that kind of fell short for me, but I think the majority of the games were pretty fun and would be a lot of fun with another person, and especially considering the time this game came out and it was the only game you could play on your home TV at the time. I'm going to give this one a solid thumbs up. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time when we look at the home Pong system.